Hello, hello. It's Monday night, 6 p.m. here, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to see what we can do tonight. Hi, Peg. Good to see you. We're going to continue with what we started on Friday. And that's what's happening. So on Friday, I started a sheet of paper called Neurographic Art or Neurographica. There's all different ways for people to call it. I call it Neurographic Art because I'm not really trained in Neurographica. Which is a specific kind of art which is created by a psychologist. So who knows? Hi, Connie. So anyway, I'm not trained in it, and so I thought, sorry, seeing some kind of, it's cat hair. That's what it is, cat hair. Can't imagine where that would come from. Anyway, I'm not really trained in Neurographica. You can take classes in it. You can become certified in it, just like with Zentangle and things like that. That is not my thing. Hello, Ellen. So I just experiment with it, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue on with that from Friday. So, hello, Linda and Tim. So what we did on Friday is I just took a piece of paper that was a jelly print, leftover jelly plate print. It is not the one I'm going to show you right here, but it is similar to the one I'm going to show you. And this is, just looking at it in the camera, this is kind of what it was like, although the lights are kind of destroying some of the color, the intensity of the color of this one. But it was on this order, but it was a pinkish tone. And then from there, we started doing the neurographic art technique on it, okay? And so if you want to see how this happened, go back to the stream before this, okay? That's where you'll find the process of how I did this. So I'm just going through the basics. So I used a black marker, which I think it was either this one. I'm not sure which marker I used. It was probably one of these Sharpies. And not this one, that's a brush marker. It's probably one of these two markers, and I just made it's like one of those designs that you do when you're a kid. I don't know if you guys did this or not, but we did it when I was in grade school, and you take a marker and you just do a design, and then you'd fill in all the colors. Fill in all the spots. And I have, if you give me a second, I think that I have a sample of that, I think, in here. We will see. Well, you can kind of see it in the background here. So this had spray inks through stencils and used up stuff, but just that swirly design in the back. It seems like I had another one also. I'm pretty sure I have one in here. Give me a sec. We'll see if we can find it. This journal just has a lot of pages that are not complete. Here, this sort of thing where you just do a design, just continuous lines, and then you treat each, I'm going to call them cells, each cell of the design in a different and unique way. Okay, that's kind of what I was talking about. But what you'll notice on this is that all the corners are sharp and angular. Okay, everything is just sharp corners, sharp angles, unless I have put something over those intersections to kind of mask that. Okay, all right, so that's how this one started. And then once that design was scribbled out, then I took, I don't know what I picked up, I don't remember now, something that was a circular design or circular shape. It may have been this, I don't know, that I put down, and I drew around it and added, you can see the circle here and here. So added some circles on top of the design that was there. And from there, took the black marker, and in this case I used a Sharpie, and I used the fine point Sharpie, which is not very fine, but that's what it's called, a fine point. You can see how really thick that tip is. And I went back over the lines, so I thickened all the lines, and then every place there was an intersection, instead of leaving those sharp angles, I rounded those out. So that's how that design got to be like this. Okay, so that's the neurographic art part of this, when you round all the corners, and I like to thicken up the lines. Some people don't thicken up the lines. I like the black lines, so I thicken those up. And it keeps you anchored in the artwork instead of letting your mind go skipping off in all directions and taking you places that you really don't want to go. And so it's good. It anchors you back into the present moment, because if you're not concentrating on what you're doing, you're not going to be able to make the artwork come to life. You're going to miss it. Okay? All right. Oh, thank you so much. So then what happens is I took colored pencils, which in this case were Prismacolor pencils. Okay, these are Prismacolor pencils. These are Prismacolor Premier pencils. There's also their student line of pencils are called Scholar. You can see the word there, Scholar. So this is their student line of pencils. I find these to be, they're not quite as soft, but they're really quite good. They don't have as wide a color range as they do with the Premier pencils. So the Premier are my favorite, my preferred pencil, but the Scholars will work fine. And there may be lots of other color pencils that will work as well. Like there's, yes. There's an oil-based pencil. I don't have them. These are wax-based, and so, you know, any colored pencil, honestly, is probably going to work. I like these because they're nice and soft. So what I did was I basically used 3 colors per cell. I started out only using the blue, the pinks, and honestly, I think it was orange, the pink, and the blue. I don't know. I don't remember. But I just started with 3 colors to begin with, and then I decided that that was getting too boring. I was tired of that. And so I went to adding all different other colors. So I added in lavenders and greens and yellows and oranges and reds. And then I got really desperate and added in some brown because, you know, I decided I wanted something that would kind of balance it a little bit. And so I colored them in. The trick to working with colored pencils that are either oil-based or wax-based is not to color too hard. If you color too hard, if you are heavy-handed and you color too hard with the colored pencils, they will put a film over your paper, and that it's called burnishing the paper. So it puts a film over the paper, and then your paper can't accept any other layers of color, because it's like it puts a layer of wax or a layer of oil on the paper, and so you can't get any more color to go on to the paper. So what we do to avoid that or deal with it, let's say, is I used odorless paint thinner in a little tiny jar like this. So I don't know, you can see there's a little liquid in there and a sponge, and you take a it's here, blending stump, which has taken a hike all of a sudden because I had it right here. Here it is. You take a blending stump, which is compressed paper. That's what this is. Here we go. So this is compressed paper as opposed to rolled paper. This is compressed paper, and it's called a blending stump. If you don't have access to blending stumps like this to use for this technique, the other thing you can use is cotton buds or Q-tips. They will not last as long. You will go through a lot of them, and they don't have a fine point on them like these do. But you can get away with, they'll do in a pinch. These are inexpensive enough that I definitely would recommend these if you're going to do this technique. So you take the blending stump, touch it into the sponge, which has soaked up the odorless paint thinner. So you just touch it and it will absorb up into that blending stump. You can see how it's absorbed up into that. And then you just simply color with the blending stump on top of the cell that you're working in. And what that does is it melts the wax, and it helps you blend the colors together. So each one of these cells has at least three colors of pencil, a light, medium, and dark in each one of these cells. And then I went back and I colored on top of it the whole cell using the odorless paint thinner. And I would have to re-dip this in my jar of odorless paint thinner. Okay, now let's talk odorless paint thinner, because it's called odorless paint thinner, but it is not fume free, okay? And so the fuminess of it, if you are sensitive to odors at all, stay away from all of it. There's also another product called Gamsol. I have not personally used that, but you might use it. You might find that it works really well for you. Some other people I've seen use baby oil. Some other people have used Vaseline. I have not used any of those. The only one I have used is the odorless paint thinner. And I take precautions because it is pretty fumy, okay? So I want to show you because when I'm streaming, I wasn't using this. But if you are interested in doing this for any period of time, I highly recommend that you get some kind of fan. This is a fan. It's actually a personal fan. This was a gift from my son's wife. She plays badminton, and so this is a powerful little fan. It charges up with a USB, so you can plug it into your computer. You can plug it into the same you can plug it into the same kind of adapter that you charge your phone with. So plug it into that, plug it into the wall, and then it plugs into your fan back here and recharges it. I find that the charge lasts a really long time. Anyway, the nice part about it is can sit on your surface, and I just let it, I don't know if can you see, let's see if I can show you. Yeah. See how that says 01? That's the lowest speed. And then you can go way on up. So it will direct a lot. It pushes a lot of air. It's a little bit like the Dyson fans, but it's not a Dyson fan, Dyson product. I don't know. I have no idea what that is. Anyway, I just set this on my desk like this when I was doing the step where I was working with the stump, the blending stump, and the odorless paint thinner. And I just let this blow across, and what it was doing was blowing the fumes away from me. Also, every time I opened the jar, I just kept the lid like this. I opened it, dipped it, put the lid back on. Now, I didn't screw it on. I just set it on just to control the amount of fumes that were coming out of the jar. Okay? So, having this little fan or some kind of fan really, really does help. So, I just thought I would show you that. Okay? All right, do you have any questions about any of that? Hello, Dorothy. Oh, good for you. Posted on IG. I have not looked on there. If you tagged me, I didn't see it. Okay, anybody else that I missed? Hey, Terry. Hi, Denise. Good to see you. Anyway, there you go. Is Amber here too? There's Amber. Hello, Amber. All right, so I just wanted to show you that fan in case you were, it's also something you can take with you if you decide that you want to go, take your artwork on the go. You're going to, sit and work on a piece like this while you're waiting for something, waiting for kids, waiting for spouses, whatever. You can take that fan because it's not electric. And it's not battery operated. You do have to have it charged up. Take it with you, and you can do your stuff wherever you are. Okay, so that's that's the short version of how we got to here. Then from there, once I had all the coloring completed the way I wanted it, the beauty of the technique of using your paint thinner. I have another marker here I'm digging for. The beauty of this technique of working with the blending stump and the thinner is that once that thinner evaporates out of your paper, if you want to add more color, you can do that and come back over the top of it with your blending stump and your thinner again. So you can add layers to do that way. Okay? No, it's on Instagram. It's barb.owen.designs on Instagram. Okay. Hey, Starla. So what I did after that, once that was all done, so the lines were done, the color, all the color was added. Then I came in with these markers. These are white Posca pens. You can use whatever you like. These are paint pens. These happen to be the ones I have in 3 different point sizes. So the tiny one works where the lines are really tiny, narrow lines, and the other markers I just dotted with the white dots in the black lines just because I like it. Okay. All right. So that's how I got here. Then I took this. This is the original one. I took this one and I did 2 things with it so I could see how it reacted. I have an inexpensive, I mean, none of them are super inexpensive, but it's an inexpensive color laser printer, and I used that to actually color or copy this so I could see what it looked like when it was copied. And here is what it looks like when I copied it. So this is just a straight copy from the copy machine. So this is the original, this is the copy. And you can see that some of the colors aren't exactly the same. They're not as deep on the color copy as they are in the original, but that's, that's par for the course. So you can I'm just letting you kind of contrast and compare. You'll see on the oranges, it does not copy the oranges the same way, and the yellow is a little bit not the same. But if I didn't show you this one would be perfectly acceptable. It's a little more muted, but it's perfectly acceptable, right? Okay. The other thing I did is I took this piece, the original piece, and I scanned it because this same printer allows me, it's an all-in-one laser printer, copier printer, and it does look pretty good. It really does. And so I scanned it into my computer. I put it into Photoshop. And in Photoshop, I boosted the saturation and the vibrance so that it had a little more oomph recovered in the copy. Now, it does, and so what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to show you the laser scan that I've boosted the saturation and the vibrance in it. And then I printed it out, and I just told it to print the full sheet. Where on the other one, which was this one, this was the exact original size. So we'll take a look at this. And you're going to see in the comparison, you're going to see some things don't translate as well when they're run through the computer. But again, if you don't look at this, you don't have this as a point of reference, it's going to be fine. You can see the blues are different. This red section is noticeably different. It lost from the original. Here's the original. It lost the blending of the different shades. It just goes, okay, that's red, we'll make it red. But again, if you didn't have the 2 things in front of you to compare, it is a perfectly acceptable piece to use. Okay? All right. That's a way that you can take your artwork and you can make it more usable. You can do the work once, copy it, and then you can use those copies to do whatever you want to with them. But you've done the work one time. All right. So from there, you can take your artwork and cut it down, which is what I've done. So I've cut it into smaller pieces, and this was, let's see, which one of these did I cut down? I think this is the bigger one that I cut down. Doesn't really matter. Laser copies are not that expensive to, the printer's expensive, you know, sort of. As printers go, it's not expensive, but it could be considered an expensive purchase. I think this one was like $4.75. I've had it for quite a while. I've had to buy the toner for it once after it used up, because it comes with toners, and then those, you blow through those pretty fast, just simply because they never give you full toner cartridges. Anyway, all that to say, it does a really nice job printing out color copies. You can always go to a place like Kinko's or UPS store, that kind of thing, that kind of place, and have them take your artwork and make color copies. I find that when you do that, they tend to be slicker. The surface tends to be slicker than what I get from the copier that I have here at the house. Anyway, so I cut those down. I got 4 out of a sheet. I took black cardstock and I cut a sheet of black cardstock, 8.5 by 11. I cut it in half. Okay, so this is the 8.5 width across, like this. So I cut it at 4 1/4 all the way down. And then I creased it in the middle and folded it. And I have 2 cards from each piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So I did 2 pieces of cardstock just in black. I was going to go to the store today and I was going to see if I could find black pre-done, pre-folded, pre-cut note cards, and I forgot. I got wound up in what I was doing and needed to get home, and I forgot to go by the store. So I had to make my own, and they're fine. The ones that I usually prefer are these. These are the pre-folded cards. I prefer these, I don't know why, but I do, to this style. Although you can have your card go this way, top folding card, or side folding card. This one, it's just shaped the other direction, but they are essentially the same size. Okay, so 4 1/4 by 5.5. So at this point, I can take these color copies and I can put them like this, which gives me about roughly 1/4 of an inch black border around them, and that makes a really nice note card. And then you can add a sentiment or a word. You can stamp a phrase and cut it out and put on top of there. You can again have it, you can put your phrase going this way, then it becomes a top folding card, or you put it this way, it becomes your side folding card. Now, the disadvantage to this over these is that even though these are colored on the outside, and I have an assortment of colors of cards, even though they're colored on the outside, and I don't think I have any black ones. I don't. But here's a brown one, for example. So, dark brown card, the inside is still white. And I like that. On these, the ones that you make yourself, do it yourself at home, they're black. So if you want to write inside this, you're going to need to use something like a Moonlight gel or a Moonlight Jelly Roll pen that will show up on the black, or you can add a piece of paper in here that you can write on with regular pens. Okay? If you have any questions, be sure and put them in caps. So as I look up, I'll hopefully catch it. Okay? So this is how you can take your original artwork, your original plain artwork, unembellished other than what we've done so far, and you can make cards out of those. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with this at all. I like that. Okay? So at the moment, and also it makes a nice gift if you did 6 or 8 or 12 cards or whatever. It makes a nice gift once you assemble the cards together. Another thing you can do is you can cut mats, and I have an assortment here of mats that I've cut, which is a fancy way of saying another piece of paper. That's the fancy way to say it. And these may not be exactly the right size. We're going to look and see. It's not bad. So you can see that that's a little bit smaller than the size of my card base. And then you can add your artwork on top of that. And so it gives you a more layered look to your cards. And I have lots of different colors because I cut a whole bunch of these one time and put in my card box of note cards. So, and each one that you put under your artwork is going to make them appear a little different. It's going to bring out different colors in your artwork. And all of these that I have here are either jelly prints or paste paper prints that I cut down. So we'll just do a few just so you can see the difference that it makes and how it makes the artwork look a little different. I would also ink using a distress ink or an archival ink or some other ink of choice. I would ink around your edges. That will, especially on the print, that will make your artwork stand up away from the background a little bit more. So we'll do a couple more of these. And the way that I do these is once I have inked around the edges of the prints, and I would probably ink around this one and this one, then I attach this piece to this piece. So this is going to be one thing. And then I attach the whole thing to the background. That's how I like to do it. So I kind of assembly line do the process. So I will attach a whole bunch of card fronts to the mats and then attach the whole matted piece to the background. Okay, like that. But you can see how the different colors affect the artwork. It just makes it different. It brings out different colors in the original artwork. And by having these patterns around that show around the edge, I mean, you're going to lose all this in the middle, but it gives even more movement and interest around the outside of the card. All right, so there's that concept. Then I also have all different plain, not all, but a number of different colors in just plain cardstock. And then you can take those, cut them down the same way, so I have the mats already pre-cut. And again, I would do the same thing. I would kind of decide how I wanted them layered up and attach the artwork to the mat, and then attach one piece to the background. That way, if this is straight, if you get this pretty straight, and that is the challenge of card making for me, is getting this straight so that the same amount of the border shows all the way around if possible. And then I have a better shot at placing this whole thing down on the background. So that's a craft cardstock. So let's look at it with this purple. Different colors will bring out parts of the artwork that other colors don't. That's a really nice vibrancy that it makes those colors sing together. We'll see what this one does. This lime green might or might not, and you don't know until you just try it as to whether you're going to like it or not. It's hard to show them to you when they're not actually attached to each other. So you just play with the idea, play with the different colors. And once you kind of find what you like, then you can have a great time assembling cards. And one of the things that I like to do is make up a bunch of cards, note cards. I have a whole box full of them. And I don't put any sentiments or anything on them usually. I just let them be assembled. And then when I need a card for somebody for some specific occasion, if I want to put a sentiment or a word or whatever, I can tailor that to the person I'm sending it to. When you have a black card base, you can always put a white mat on top of a black card and make a very striking presentation, so you can do that. Okay? So there is that concept. So you can do that, which is just, you can start with the artwork, cut it up, make copies, cut it up, or you can make originals, and do originals for everything. You can put them just on the black cardstock. You can mat them and put them together with the mats, or you can go another step further. So let me put all this stuff kind of away here. And that is to use your pens, your micron pens, or the King Art pens, or Jelly Roll pens, or what have you, and then get one of your copies and start playing with it, which is what I have done here. And what I decided to do here is I challenged myself to take one design or one motif, shall we say, just one thing, and see if I could make myself do the whole sheet with just the one motif, one design, one, basically, all it is a piece of white paper here somewhere. It doesn't have to be white. It could be a different color. Here, let's take this. So this is, I don't know what this design is called. It's a Zentangle pattern, I'm pretty sure. But I just think of a curved line with a pod on the end of it, like a seed pod, and then color it in. All right, so that's all it is. You can have designs that come off of a central point. They can be different sizes. They can be fat. They can be skinny. They can be dead or dying, such as, okay, so they can be, but all of these are coming from a kind of a central point. They can overlap each other, so they can go like this. They can go like this. So they can overlap each other, still coming from a central point down here. There's the central point there. There's a central point here. So you can color them in, or you can just draw them with lines. You can take them like, let the line be curvy. Put the little pod on the end. You can let them kind of intertwine with each other, again coming from a central point. So now they're having, just kind of pretend that that is a seed coming up through the earth. You know, where they have to push up through the dirt, coming up like so. Okay. Another thing that you can do is, let's say we're coming here, a big space, and put the seed head up there, or the pod. And then you can take those spaces and make another one come off of those spaces. And they don't have to be all the same size, but they're coming from one stem. So that's another thing you can do. Hello, Socks. What are you doing? Well, apparently we're going to have a kitty break, because we have a kitty sighting. Did you come in to say hello? Here. In case you didn't know, this is Socks. He has on white socks, in case you don't know. He has white socks on the back feet, too. This is Socks, or if you're Elton, Sock. He calls him a singular sock. I call him Socks, S-O-X, because he has 4 socks on. But he has the prettiest face. He is such a pretty boy, and he's such a nice boy. He's such a nice boy. We have 3 of the 4 cats I've introduced you to. The 4th one I haven't introduced you to because he will totally freak out if I bring him in here. Although I have been able to pick him up. His name is Blue, as in blue cheese. He's white with black spots. And I've been able to bring him in the house and hold him. And I've been working on doing that with him every day. And it hasn't been too hard, since it has been just frigid, horrible cold here, as in the much of the country this weekend. So Socks, Beckett, and Braveheart have been very happy to be in the house. At any time the door opens, they are going to come in. Blue, on the other hand, wants to come in very badly, but he just can't quite get over himself yet, but we're working on him. Anyway, so this is Socks. I don't know if he'll stay in here with me, but we'll see. he would like for me to just stop and pet him. So he's probably going to help me with my pen work here, because he's probably going to stick his head right under my hand. And you know how they do? They put their head under your hand and flip your hand like they want, because they want you to pet him. So this is one of the 2 cats that the neighbor left. Socks and Beckett are the ones that the neighbor left. And so they finally adopted us, and we finally said, okay, you can live here. And they are very happy. But I think that they have friends in the neighborhood. I think that they're conning some other people in the neighborhood as well. So we think they have more than one place that they stay. But anyway, so there's the cat sighting. Okay. All right, let's go back to this. So using this same motif, if you screw it up, which I did on this, and give yourself the grace to take a color copy and just play with it and not stress out over it. It does take a little bit to get used to the idea of getting the flow of the pen. So give yourself some grace and don't be too judgmental toward what you do. Terry says her German Shepherd uses the long nose to flip your hand. Yes, and it does make some interesting marks sometimes, doesn't it? So another thing you can do is to take your, let's say that you did this, and we're going to say that your pen slipped, okay? Okay, so your pen slips here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. Okay, so my pen slipped up here, and that's not uncommon, especially if you have anything on the surface of your work surface. If you encounter a bump of any kind. Oh, here's Beckett. Apparently we're gonna have a double cat sighting going on here. Hold on just a moment. Come here, Beckett. Come here. Because I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna shut them out of the room. This is the other cat that the neighbors left that adopted us. This is Beckett. Yeah. And he's a smaller cat than Socks is. And he's a little bit of a bully, this one is. And so he fusses at Braveheart. So, yeah. Anyway. So, here's Socks and Beckett, 2 of the 4 cats that we now currently have. Okay, you guys have to go out because I can't do any work. But do you see, there are a lot of cats. You can't get any work done if you stay in here. Okay, you go. Okay, distracting myself. They are sweet boys. They really are. Okay, back to this. Okay, so if you screw up accidentally, and I wouldn't worry about it too much, but sometimes it's annoying. You can do a couple of things. One is just to thicken the line up, and if you want to darken it completely, you can do that. Another thing you can do, so I messed up, is I can make this line come down like this, and I can just simply pretend like that was another purposeful embellishment. Okay, color this in. Now I'm exaggerating all these. Another one, if you have, let me do it a little bit more. Okay, so I've got this weird looking thing down here, and I don't really know what to do with that, and so just embellish the line, but don't do it once. Do it a second time. And do it a third time. And that way it becomes an effect and not just a mistake. You can always add a dot at the base of whatever it is that you're doing. Another thing you can do is add a dot out beyond the seed head. For example, let's say up here that and again, that just becomes an effect. It becomes an embellishment that you didn't know you needed. Okay? Yes, repeat it and make it purposeful. Okay, so those are some ideas. So what I would do, what I did do on this was just started playing with all the smallest sections first. Here, over here is the one where I did just, I don't know what it was that I had screwed up, but anyway, I just added those little squiggles. There's another one on here. Okay, here my hand just went crazy and just made a real squiggly line, so I just rolled with it and did that again and again. There's another one here, right in here. There's two lines that are really close together that I did those little lines between the stems. The two lines that make up the stem, so I did that. But if I don't point all of those out to you, you might have picked up on this one, but I don't ever even have to include that. I can cut that out or put the sentiment over it or whatever I want to do. Okay? So I did, and I worked on this I started out with a size 01. I ended up going to an 03. And I like the 03 better. I would like to have an 05, but for whatever reason, I don't know where my 05 is. I do have an 08 here, which is this one. So we'll take a look at the difference, because all of these I drew in an 03. So let's take a look at what an 08 will do. Okay, so it is a bigger, fatter line. So this is the 08 versus the 03. So what I would suggest is you might have more than one tip size in your pen arsenal, because then when you're in the small spaces, you can do those fine little embellishments if you choose to do that. If you're in the great big ones, like for example this one, now it's been a few minutes since I did this, so who knows whether the flow is going to be working with me or not. We'll find out. So we can either start down here and bring up the line all the way up, Or we can bring in the spaces coming in from the side. Let's just go for broke and just go for a big one. All right, so we have a starting place. So let's see what happens if we let a stem come across that. And you don't have to do any more than that. You can stop there, or you can just keep going, because I think more is more and more is better. That's what I think. And the more you do this, the better you're going to get at it. Okay, so we have some of those coming off there like so, and then I can always change to the smaller pen, and then just let some of those little designs come in from a different direction. Like so, okay? And then if this, often these lines that cross like that, I like to put in, I don't know what you want to call these. I kind of think of them as a stopper. So it just kind of embellishes those little sections just a little bit more. And this one seems like it needed another little guy coming out of the top of that. Okay, so let's go to, and then the other thing that I was playing with on this is changing directions. So like this kind of comes from this end, and so I may change this and come this way on this one. And if your arm gets stuck, it's good if you let your whole arm work on this, but if your arm gets stuck, you're going to have a very stilted looking line like that one. And so then I may need to see if I can soften that up or distract. Distract my eye. And varying the size of the pods. Will make them more interesting. You can also vary the lines by changing the pen midstream. So you may not pick up at first that I changed the pen width, but I did. And then I may want to put some little extras. Like that. Okay? So that kind of fills, I like filling the space. I find that a lot more interesting and fun to look at. And it also fills your time. Okay, so you can just keep adding until your eye tells you that you're done. Okay. All right. Any questions about what I'm doing here? Now, you can also, another thing you can do with this is you can treat this, you could treat this design like, for an example, I might take another one of these. Take the one that's in the bigger copy. This is the smaller one. And I could treat each one of these cells as a different design. So you can get a Zentangle book or look at Zentangle.com or TanglePatterns.com, and you can find different designs on there that you can add to the cells. I think of these as cells in the design. You can take each one and make each cell different. You could get a lot of Zentangle practice or a lot of patterning practice doing that. You could also just come back in here and you could do some of the cells by adding designs into them, or you can do no cells. You could do just one here, one there. You can also then come back in with your jelly roll pins, which will show up on the paint or the pieces like this. You can take your jelly roll pins and you can embellish further with more dots or more whatevers. I would stay away from using white on top of this because you've got the white embellishment in the surrounding things. If you want to maintain the integrity of the cells, then use your jelly roll pins in different colors. The moonlight colors are the ones that'll show up on the darker colors. And so you could come in and I don't have any right here, I don't think. I don't. But you could use the moonlight pins, and you could just take a blue moonlight pin, for example, and just add blue dots in the blue cells around the patterning that you've already done. You could add green in the green spaces and so forth. Or you could use just one jelly roll pin, like the Stardust pen is the kind of an iridescent sparkle, and so you could use that and you could add dots and so forth. Anyway, the point being, you can do that. You can, the sky is the limit. This is your thing that you could do anything you wanted to. If you want to copy this, which I would encourage after you do all the work on this one, I would encourage you to either scan it in your computer again or copy it. Anything that has metallic or sparkle is not going to copy or show up very well. So stay with flat colors if you want them to show up in your artwork. Okay? All right. So let's see. I think I've about covered all the bases of things on that I intended to tonight. So let me see. I had a couple other things I wanted to show you or talk about. So let me do that. We had lunch today with some friends. If you have questions about the the artwork, let me know. We had lunch with some friends today, and they're doing work in Guatemala with helping to establish schools and learning centers and things for many of the children who live up in the mountains, as I understand. We have not been there yet. We're hoping to get there. They're kids that are very disadvantaged when it comes to being able to get an education. And so they are establishing these schools and training to help the teachers and so forth. And so anyway, we had lunch with them today. And they brought me this absolutely stunning scarf that I thought I would show you, because it is just beautiful. I hope it doesn't make your eyes go crazy, because this kind of pattern could, depending on how it comes across on the screen. We'll find out here momentarily. Here we go. And this is hand woven, and it's woven with a loom on the back. I don't know how that's done. I have not seen this before, but it's a back loom is what it's called. So hopefully when we get to go there at some point, I will be able to find out how it's done. But it is absolutely beautiful, hand done. I'm going to show you the information about it here in just a second. But there's the fringe, which is from the yarns that are used in the weaving. And this is the woman who made it. And I'm really looking forward to going to the art center where these women are. It's a way for them to help feed their families. I mean, it's something, isn't it? Okay, so here is the information about it. The time it took to produce this scarf, which is, let's see, let me measure it. Without the fringe. It's less than 2 yards long, but it's big enough to go around the neck and, tie it in a loop. It took 3 weeks for her to do this. It's hand spun cotton, 100% hand spun cotton. These are the fibers. 100% hand spun cotton, machine thread, blend silk and cotton. So this is cotton silk in here. There are 2 different threads, so I don't know if the golden color, if that is the cotton silk and the black is cotton. It does have a sheen to it, so that indicates that it has the silk in it. I don't know all the information, but this is how the threads are dyed. This is dyed with charcoal and poplar bark. So that's how that was dyed. There is a website there if you want to take a look at it, woven.gt.com. So if you want to look that up, find more information about these. But that is a stunning piece of work. So think about if you spent 3 weeks doing something to make a scarf. Would you? Yeah. Anyway, that was a very special gift that they brought back from Guatemala and gave to me. So that was really neat. I can't even tell you how good this feels. It is, it just has a beautiful hand, which is the way it drapes. It is a beautiful fiber. It's absolutely beautiful fiber. Wonderful feel. Anyway, so I thought I would share that with you. Hopefully we are going to get to go to Guatemala at some point. Maybe this spring or summer is what we're hoping to do. And be able to meet some of the people there. And get to meet some of the students. We've met a few students that have come over to go to college. And it's a rare thing. I understand, and they have to be on scholarship. So what they do most of the time is that they go back into the communities. So they come here to be educated with the intent of going back and helping their families. And so it's a really interesting program that they have going on there. What else did I want to show you real quickly? As I talked to you about how very, very frigid the weather has been here, I know many people have been dealing with that also. This is what was going on here over the weekend. I don't know if you can see or count how many are there, but that was a whole flock of cardinals that came in to eat from the feeder. And they were stopping and resting on the old tomato cages and wire trellises that we had up, and they were all fluffed out and enjoying getting food and just taking a rest wherever they went after that. It was extremely cold. We did not get the ice that a lot of people got. Here's another shot of the cardinals here. I mean, that is a lot of cardinals. That's a separate shot. You can see we got some of them in flight even. I mean, I think we counted 15 at one point that we could actually count before they started moving around. But they were having a good time. They were having a really good time. So anyway, it was really cold. We got snow a couple of 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. We got snow, or Friday I guess we got some, and then Saturday we got more. I mean, we were braced for it, but we didn't get nearly as much as could have been. So yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So kudos to all of you. I hope that you're staying warm and safe, and that if you got something that you can work on, keep your hands busy and keep your mind centered on what you're doing. It keeps you from fracturing and going racing off in all directions about things you can't do anything about anyway, which is so easy for us to do. I know I can't be the only one that happens to. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm so sorry, Dorothy, that you're getting ready to get it. Stay safe, my friend, and stay off the sidewalks and the roads and everything else when it gets like that. All right, I will be back. The plan is to be back Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, whenever it is that you're watching. And Violet, if you're watching, thank you for your comment on the last stream. I can't even express to you what your comment meant to me. So thank you. It came at a very appropriate moment for me. So thank you so much. I just wanted to say that. And also tell you that I'm thinking about you, and I hope that you're doing some hard work, really hard work, and I hope that you can just keep doing your artwork when you have a chance, and keep your chin up. So, all right. So until next time, as always, remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy. I showed you how you can make some cards out of a piece of paper and write somebody a note, put it in the mail. It may take forever to get there, but eventually it will get there. Brighten somebody's day. All right. I will see you before you know it. Bye for now.